She was a girl full of dreams, just like so many others her age. She wanted to do well in school, start a side project, maybe even change her life completely. But every time she sat down to begin, a small voice inside whispered, "Not now. Later. Tomorrow will be better." And so, one day turned into another, and another, until weeks passed with little progress. Her desk was filled with unfinished notes. Her to-do list kept growing longer. Each night she promised herself, "Tomorrow, I will start fresh." But the truth was, tomorrow never came. She was caught in a trap of delay, of waiting for the perfect time, of endless procrastination. At first, she didn't see it as a problem. "I'm just tired today," she would say. Or, "I work better under pressure." But deep inside, she knew these were excuses. The longer she delayed, the heavier the burden became. What started as a small choice, postponing one task, turned into a habit that controlled her entire life. Her friends began moving forward. Some of them started new hobbies, others were getting better grades, and a few even launched small businesses online. But she remained stuck, scrolling through her phone, watching others succeed while she kept putting things off. Each time she saw their achievements, her heart sank a little deeper. She asked herself quietly, "Why not me? Why can't I do it?" The real conflict wasn't outside, it was inside her mind. She wasn't lazy, she was scared. Scared of failing. Scared of not being good enough. So she avoided the pain by delaying the work. It felt easier in the moment, but it was costing her everything, her confidence, her time, and her dreams. One evening, as she stared at another unfinished assignment, tears filled her eyes. She realized she had been living the same cycle for months, start with hope, delay with excuses, end with guilt. The guilt was crushing. She felt like she was betraying her own future. The girl who once dreamed of success now carried a heavy shadow of regret. That night was different. She lay awake thinking about the life she wanted, the life that seemed so far away. She remembered the child inside her, the version of herself who believed anything was possible. But that voice had grown quiet under the noise of procrastination. For the first time, she admitted to herself, if she didn't change, she would lose more than just time, she would lose her chance to live her dream. This was her breaking point. She had hit the bottom, where the pain of staying the same finally became greater than the fear of change. And it was in that moment, in the middle of the night, that she made a silent promise to herself, "Tomorrow, I will not wait. I will begin." The next morning, she woke up with a strange mix of fear and determination. For the first time, she didn't wait for the perfect time. She didn't aim to finish everything at once. Instead, she told herself, "Just 5 minutes. That's all." It sounded too small, almost silly. But she sat at her desk, opened her notebook, and worked for 5 minutes. Something shifted inside her. Those 5 minutes didn't feel like a mountain. They felt possible. And once she started, 5 minutes quietly turned into 10, then 20. By the end of the day, she had completed a task that she had been avoiding for weeks. This was her first small victory. It wasn't dramatic. No one clapped for her. But in her heart, it was huge. She had broken the cycle. She had chosen action over delay. That night, instead of guilt, she felt a spark of pride. The next day, she repeated the same rule, 5 minutes. And again, it worked. Slowly, her list began shrinking. Her confidence began growing. Each task she completed felt like a weight lifted off her shoulders. It wasn't about being perfect anymore. It was about progress, one small step at a time. Of course, it wasn't easy. Some days she wanted to quit. Some days the old voice returned, whispering, "You can do it tomorrow." But now, she had proof that even the smallest effort could create change. And that proof gave her strength. On the days she felt weak, she reminded herself, 5 minutes is better than 0. Weeks passed, and the girl who once lived in procrastination was changing. She started to wake up earlier. She made lists and crossed out tasks, one by one. She no longer feared the work, she welcomed it. With each victory, her fear of failure became smaller, and her belief in herself became stronger. Her friends noticed the difference. She spoke with more energy, carried herself with more confidence, and even inspired some of them to start their own journeys of discipline. She was no longer just watching others succeed, she was creating her own success, step by step. One day, as she looked at a completed project that once felt impossible, tears filled her eyes again. But this time, they weren't tears of guilt. They were tears of pride. She had discovered the truth: procrastination was not her enemy, it was her teacher. It taught her that change doesn't come from waiting for motivation. It comes from action, small, consistent action. Her story teaches us something powerful. You don't need to change your entire life in one day. You don't need to be perfect. All you need is to begin, even with just 5 minutes. Small steps build big victories. And over time, those small victories turn into a life you can be proud of. So, whenever you feel stuck, remember her story. Remember that the first step doesn't have to be big. It just has to be real. Start small. Stay consistent. And one day, you will look back and realize, you turned procrastination into daily victory.